Hello and welcome to Futsal Discovered. I'm joined by Colin Brown, and this week we are in the company of Imrul Gazi from Sporting Bengal, and we've also got Seth Burkett, who's an author and a futsal player. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
We will be talking to you both very shortly, but last month saw England futsal squad take on Sweden in an international friendly at the Copper Box. I was there amongst the action for Futsal Discovered on the road. Time to speak with me.
You're welcome.
Let's just draw on last night's game. So you'd already previously mentioned that it would be competitive playing against Sweden, considering that they have a high calibre of players, and also that they're a very organised squad. Unfortunately, England did lose 3-1. Tell us about the game.
You're going to make me relive a very painful experience.
Oh dear.
No, it's not, because whatever the result, we are trying to build a programme that's going to be competitive at European level.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just another hit that we've taken that we know that we're going to become stronger as a result of. So we knew exactly what you've said. The Swedes they're a good side, and in the past, or for the past few years, we may have carefully selected opponents to give us a really good chance of getting the win, because the win builds the programme. We're now at the level where we're choosing opponents that will give us a real test. So we know we might be successful and win some. We also know that we might lose some. And Sweden were one of those. They should have really qualified for the main round in the Euros, and it was a bit of a shock that they didn't. So I think both nations knew that it was going to be, pre-qualifying was out of the way. Both teams were hopefully going to go through, and this was going to be a real hard preparation for both, ready for the main round. Unfortunately, neither of us made it, but that's
that was
the calibre
as well.
That's the calibre of opponent that we're now trying to select. So we had 34 shots in the second half. So we were trying to build the same kind of momentum that we took into the game when we played Latvia in Malta, and it worked regarding the shot count, but those shots have got to either be on target or they've got to go in the net. And unfortunately, I know in any sport goals change the game, but in futsal it's absolutely vital that if you get chances you take them, and we didn't. So.
What was said, because very different performance to yesterday's. I mean, what a fantastic result.
Yeah, it was a great performance, especially after yesterday. I think the boys, I don't know, just seemed a bit, less on it compared to where we were in Malta a few weeks ago. But to be fair, we bounced back, and that's what we do best, disappointing performance, and we've always bounced back really well, and fair play to the boys and great win.
We certainly did bounce back, and you got the ball, so tell us a bit about that. You're on fire, you are. Rainbow and now,
it's one of those, it's great to score, and that's what's kept me in the squad, I think, sometimes with my goals, and got 3 today, but most important thing, the boys bounced back and we got the win.
So what can people look forward to with England? What's next?
Just progression. Like I said, we're going to have a little break now, and then we come back in the new season. We're going to go through the World Cup qualifiers and hopefully get out of the qualifying round into the main round, and then just keep pushing.
Fantastic. Thank you.
No worries, thank you.
I said to the guys, because today's performance was far better than yesterday's. I mean, what a result!
Yeah, it's a great day. I think the first half we were superb. We really were superb. So they knew they were a little bit under par to what we usually like.
Yeah.
So it was about coming out and making sure that you bring your A game and you perform. It's not 80%, not 90%, but 100%. If you start well, you score goals. We created a lot of chances yesterday, and we just didn't bring them back in the net. Today was about putting them back in the net. So.
And so you certainly did do that. So how can you give us a little analysis about today's game?
Well, we went after them to start off with. So we pressed, if we could, get into the press, so put them under a bit of pressure. And if we got chances, we said we'd take them as early as possible and see what happens. And then as the game went on, we got a couple of breaks. They had to sort of squeeze a little bit more, so it sort of played into our hands. And then at half time, we knew that 4-0 they were going to throw everything at us. So it was about making sure we're strong as a group. And if they fly or go into the fly keeper, or if they do something a little bit different, we can deal with it as a group. So.
And you did, because they did do that, didn't they? I mean, their keeper was then playing as the 5th player on the pitch.
It's exciting that happens, isn't it? So.
It was, because we were obsessed thinking, oh my, very exciting.
It causes a few issues, but we've been working on it for quite a while, because when we go to tournaments, we know how to deal with it, and the group's really strong in that. The second one was disappointing. The first goal was a good goal by them, but the second one was disappointing.
Oh yes.
But it was really good to get a couple back on the break, so we could have got one more from Jordan even scored, so the keeper. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Oh, brilliant! And putting the game aside, this book. Can you tell us about the book that you've just released?
Okay, yeah. Well, I think I've been in futsal now 15 years, so it was sort of like just to try and probably give something back in terms of futsal, because I think people think futsal's new and it's come up and come in, and think it's not that new. So I've sort of, with Seth, wrote a book about developing the footballer through futsal, and that's not to take away the quality of futsal, because they're futsal sessions, but it's about how we can develop holistic players, use futsal as a development tool, but also use it again in its own right. So if you just do futsal, you can use it as well. So, it's probably, people hopefully read it and have a go, and it's just my thoughts on paper, really.
And where is this book available?
It's on Amazon, so the publishers will put it on Amazon, because obviously they've had a big say in it, so hopefully it helps if you like the coaching community that want to know a bit more about futsal from football, but also the futsal community that want to know some more about futsal.
So everyone needs to get onto Amazon and get purchasing the book.
Yeah, so hopefully, it'll be good. Hopefully it'll be good. So.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Amongst the action also, I caught you at the game. What did you make of it?
Oh, it was a brilliant game, Manisha, it really was. I mean, the amount that England are improving all the time is astounding, really. I think that's the work that Pete Sturgess and Michael Skubala are doing with the players. They've got some excellent players in there who themselves are improving all the time as well. So, brilliant game. Any players stand out for you at the moment? Well, I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say James Webb, Will Rook and George Nash were superb.
Are they friends by any chance?
They are friends, yes. So I'll say they're my 3 favourite players from the game.
Anything in particular that makes them stand out from the rest?
Well, I mean, standing out from the rest that's quite a big statement, because I thought the rest of the players everyone was superb that game. They really were. But I mean, the 3 of them, from playing them formally, have got such flair and such ability on the court. They're so positive with the ball and can just make something happen from nothing, really, which is a key skill you need in futsal. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there were 7 goals from England, slightly different to the game that they played against Sweden on the Friday, because there were games back to back at the Copper Box. One thing for me though was just over 1,500 people that attended. The atmosphere was absolutely electric. I mean, if we compare it to a game at Wembley Stadium, I mean, yes, it didn't have your crowds of 70 to 80,000, but what it did bring to the game was we had not just the match and the football itself, but you had dancers, music, you had drummers. It was amazing. It was Latin. It was. It really was. I thought, wow, I thought I was in a rave or a party. Initially, I mean, my eardrums were banging.
What's the biggest crowds you've played in? in front of?
In futsal, probably you're talking about 200. So 1,500 for a game is fantastic and really shows the growth of the sport and
Yeah,
really the
absolutely.
entertainment value of it.
A lot of kids were there, Manisha.
Yeah, there were. I mean, it was very much family orientated,
Orientated.
I'd say. What would you say?
Yeah, definitely. But that's brilliant because that's where we need to really build the sport, is getting the kids involved, getting them to love the sport and hopefully come back for more.
Is that intentional? You know, this. I can't claim to be an expert at futsal, and I'm still very new to it. But futsal are you encouraging families to get involved from the onset? How?
Well, the kids are the new generation of futsal, so that's what you're finding. The kids know more about futsal than the older players, basically.
Because it's very, very new to England as such, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
It is still growing.
we're just out of curiosity myself again, where does England rank with regards to the other countries or
Seth?
the home countries in?
I think they're around about 60th in the world now, but that's almost
60th?
That's almost a false
Wow.
ranking.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, they were 90th, I think.
Okay.
But I mean, they've gone and played against teams in the top 20 and beaten them. So the ranking system,
It's still getting right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's not quite there yet.
I'd say probably they're around about 40th in the world.
Wow. Okay. I'm assuming Brazil are top of the tree.
Well, you've got Brazil and Spain really who lead the way.
Obviously. Okay.
We will be resuming this conversation, and we're going to talk a lot more about you and you playing out in Brazil, Seth. Sounds very interesting, and also the books that you've written. We were due to have David Hunt on a live phone-in. David Hunt currently plays for Maiden, and he's actually at training. It's been a Thursday night. Most training
Absolutely.
does take place on a Thursday. But I did catch up with him, and we have a pre-recorded interview where he talks about life after football. Very interesting in terms of what he is now currently doing and also thinking about. And also he gives us his very honest opinion on the current state of futsal in this country.
Hi, and thanks for having me on your show. Sorry I couldn't be there, but I'm actually training tonight. Yep, training on a Thursday evening. That's how things have changed for the life of a footballer. I actually recently wrote a blog about it, but for those of you who don't know, my name's David Hunt. And right now I play for my hometown Maidenhead United. So this season's been a whirlwind. I'm 32 years old, and at the beginning of the season I had another year left at Oxford United. And halfway through the season I was loaned out to Barnet and had a great time there, but unfortunately things didn't work out. And so yeah, we went our separate ways at Oxford, and I decided to take a bit of time out for a few days and gather my thoughts, and then thought it was the better option for the rest of the season to enjoy my football. So I signed for Maidenhead, where I live, who are in the Conference South, and now we train on Tuesday night, Thursday nights, and play on a Saturday. So that's freed up a lot of time for me at the moment, and it's something that's come in very good timing with my new business venture. Now, up until maybe 5-6 weeks ago, I actually didn't know what I was going to do after football. I knew I'd be a good coach, but I didn't know if that's the avenue I'll go down. And also on top of that, it's been about 5-6 years that I've been looking into trying to find a way to start a business or come up with an idea. But being a footballer, you don't have any education really. So it's fundamental that as a young lad, you do really work on building yourself up, not just as a footballer, but also for going into the outside world. I'm 32 now, and like I said, I didn't really know where I was going to go. We get our pension at 35, and as soon as you cross that mark of a 30-year-old, all of a sudden you get labelled as, past it. And it's unbelievable. I feel great physically, mentally, but unfortunately that's how we get branded. So you do have to have, if you're in the lower leagues especially, you have to have something to fall back on. So for me, I joined up with Organo Gold, me and Richard Lee, and it's been a godsend for me. A healthy coffee, say no more. I suffer from colitis, so to have a coffee that has a herb in it that is very good for my stomach, then it's amazing. It's actually an alkaline coffee. So from that as well, I was asked about what my thoughts are on futsal. Now, for me, I haven't played a lot of futsal. I do own a futsal ball, and I know about Louis Melville and his team, and also when I was at Oxford, the physio there had a team in the UK that I believe done very well. Now, for me, futsal's massive. It's big in these other European and South American countries, but for some reason it hasn't exploded here yet. And it just sums up the English mentality towards football. We need to program our minds to be more advanced and look at the bigger picture. Are we technically gifted as youngsters? Yes. but are we using that to our maximum? No. The reason I say that is, take for instance Arsenal. Now, they pride themselves on bringing youth through the system. How many UK or English-based players have they brought through their youth in the last 5 years that you know of that is still in the team? There's only one really that comes to mind, Wilshere. Everybody else has been either bought or they're European-based players that have come through their setup that they've brought over as well. And I think futsal has a big part to play in that. You know, I went the other day when we were training on a Tuesday night, and inside the indoor gym there was these lads, middle-aged lads playing football. If only they'd had a futsal ball, they'd probably be more technically gifted and learn a lot more. But at the same time, I'm watching this normal football bouncing around, heads over your head, hitting them all over the place. It just looks so scruffy and embarrassing that, you know, I do genuinely feel that futsal, if we breed it into the youngsters now, it will change the whole dimension of English football. So for me, it's massive. Should it be a separate sport? Possibly so, but at the same time, if they can combine it as one, then you know, I think it's only positive for the UK game. So for me, futsal is a godsend. So anybody interested in getting involved with it, I seriously recommend it. Should I hang up? I'm going to say bye. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the second part of Futsal Discovered. We are going to be talking to Imrul Gazi from Sporting Bengal, but before we do that, we have a nice little video clip of Imrul in action in his coaching role.
The academy now has been running close to 3 years, and as you can see from the kids around us, even though the weather's not too good, the turnout is brilliant. So it's going from strength to strength. Initially, when we started the academy, the aim was to give children at grassroots level the opportunity to learn football in a structured manner, and to give them the experiences of I guess professional coaching. We now have this year entered 4 teams, so we have under 8s, under 9s, under 11s and under 13s. The coaches are doing a remarkable job. Every coach is minimum level 2, and also 5 of our boys have had remarkable success. We've moved on to go and play at academy level at QPR. 5 boys are at QPR, the development centre, and potentially one of them boys is going to be signed at QPR also.
Imrul, fantastic to see so many young people engaged and involved in football. So tell us a little bit about that setup and also your involvement with the BFA as well.
Yeah, well, BFA as an organisation itself has been around since 1996.
So just explain what it is for those people
Bangladesh
who
Football
don't know.
Association. It's based in Tower Hamlets. That's where the origins of it started. Although now it's kind of become an umbrella organisation for other Bangladeshi community-based products, companies kind of thing from around the UK, but we specialise in football. Especially over the last year or so, 2 years, there's a lot of academies popping up around the UK for local communities. So BFA has just become like an umbrella organisation, and we kind of give them advice, give them direction as to how to develop and how to grow their coaches. So we're doing a lot of work nationally, not just locally as well. But predominantly a lot of the work we do is in Tower Hamlets. And Tower Hamlets, as many may or may not be aware, is a massive Bangladeshi community. And I guess it was initially set up for that, because ultimately the idea was around Asians and grassroots football, and the age-old question, why are there no Asians in football? And to be honest, it's been talked to death, and I know the FA have done a lot of work. Kevin Coleman, I know you know well, has done a lot of work with regards to inclusions, and done a lot of recently up and down the country, asking the same question, going to big professional clubs up and down the country and holding meetings and forums.
With the consultation forums,
yes. So
well, I think really with what you're doing, that's the way you're going to develop young players regardless.
And I think
making it diverse.
I think that's the first point from the reason this was set up 3 years ago. Anwaruddin, who's the ex-West Ham footballer, and also finished his career at Dagenham and Redbridge, I think.
Currently assistant manager at Malden and Tiptree now.
And also he's one of the project managers at Fans for Diversity,
and at Kick It Out as well.
So he's doing a lot of good work. When he had a bit more time on his hands before, he kind of went into working for the FA and Fans and Kick It Out, etc. this was his little baby, and he took it on himself, and he set it all up. So it went about 6 months into it, kind of took a bit of a backseat, and then that's when the likes of myself came and we got involved. It's just gone from strength to strength. We started off with 10 kids initially on the first week, and now to date, this Tuesday, we've moved location, so we've got better facilities now at Stepney, state-of-the-art 4G pitch. We've got close 4G. to 4G, so state-of-the-art pitches, facilities. We've got nearly 80 kids. Currently, we have 4 teams: under 8s, under 9s, under 11s, and under 13s. The progress has been second to none, and I think the reason for it, I think Colin touched on it, is it's opening the doors to everybody, and it's become really diverse. We're not just focusing on Bangladeshi kids. Our doors are open to anyone and everyone.
I also think if you're going to develop any player, they need to get that mixture and the balance of different players around them. So every culture brings something different, maybe, especially in football. It's going to be power, pace, you know, the technical side of the game. So it's good to get different cultures involved.
And I think that's the key. You know, you touched on it. It's not just about football for us at BFA either, especially for me. I think it's more of the social aspect of it as well. You know, the fact that interacting not just with their local friends. We've got kids coming from as far as, you know, Newham, Redbridge. We've got Dagenham. So it's a bit of a trek for them to come, but they see the quality there. Now our coaches are from all walks of backgrounds as well. So you know, it's something. We're not spoon feeding people, because in Tower Hamlets, maybe as there is in other communities up and down the country, you know, unfortunately, Asian communities are used to being spoon-fed and everything's free. We've kind of thrown that out the window. You have to pay for it, and that gives us and them some commitment and something to say, like, you know what, they take some ownership. So when they do come to the training sessions, the parents are engaged, and that's the biggest thing as well, from my perspective.
So it's not a babysitting club?
No, it's not. The parents stay.
Have you found that then? I was going to get my question. Do parents actually stay?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, initially it was a case, I remember when we first started, they were dropping them off, coming back to us.
Babysitting club.
Yeah. And then, but over time, it's now, they've made friends. The parents have become friends. For them now, it's
a social now.
Yeah, it's more of a, so they might just, they'll stay on the outside, they'll have a chat, and they're getting to know each other.
And the other thing you'll find is that the parents who are hardcore and been in football a long time, it's almost an education process, teaching the newbies basically what's going on here.
Definitely, but from our perspective, it's been a learning curve. We think we've found the solution. And like I say, you know, today is just the beginning. We've got now a couple of kids actually at academies. We had some more good news. We've got an official email from Norwich City where our under-13s goalkeeper has been offered a 7-week trial at Norwich City.
That's
so
good.
You know, so I guess there are some reasons for optimism from our perspective.
The green shoots are coming through, basically.
Definitely. It's been 3 years.
So it's down to you guys with the good coaching methods you're doing.
Something's working. We're doing something right. And I'm not going to take credit for it. I think, like I said, that it's a team effort.
Absolutely.
And not just the coaching staff. There's a lot of people that do a lot of work in the backgrounds at BFA. BFA is a massive organisation. We don't just have the academy. We've got summer league football where we've got over 50 teams that play in our summer league over a period of 12 leagues. It's the only amateur football league that has 3 officials. You know, linesmen, and what league or in the amateur league in the UK can say that? And that's been going for since 1997. That takes place in Tower Hamlets, and where we get ex-pros coming to play in them leagues. We now have a winter league. We have a Tower Hamlets Youth League.
Yeah, I know, it's quite big, isn't it?
The Tower Hamlets Youth League now is close. This summer we'll have over 50 teams, kids, so aging from 8 all the way through to 16. Again, we're starting to get into other sports, not just football. Futsal's on our agenda. That's why I was quite keen to learn a bit more about that. I think I mentioned to Manisha that it's something that we on our radar and we want to set up as soon as possible.
It's a very good tool for young players to learn.
Definitely, especially in the winter as well, because we've managed to get hold of a premises, but we now need coaches to run it, because obviously we don't have the expertise in futsal. So we're looking currently for futsal coaches. So any support, anybody out there?
I think you need to get yourself educated in that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a good crossover for coaching as well.
Okay.
You know, once you learn your futsal coaching methods, you find that it's going to help you as a football coach as well a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, I'm sure that, you know, if there is anybody out there within the locality.
Yeah, it's based in East London, so if any coaches out there who are interested, if you just look us up, just Google Bangladesh Football Association or BFA UK, our contact details are on there, and please get in touch.
And your Twitter handle, I'm sure they can always contact you on.
Definitely on my Twitter account or Facebook page, whatever, give us a call. We're always looking for, even if it's not futsal, we're also looking for coaches to get involved with our academy, Sporting Bengal Academy as well.
Seth, what about you? Do you think that it will be an easy transition for, with what Imrul said, to then get into futsal with your experience?
I think for the kids, they'll absolutely love it. And I agree with what Colin was saying about, you know, learning futsal methods to teach football, and vice versa even, will really benefit their development both as futsal players and as football players. I think the sport of futsal teaches you about you know, space. You have to play everywhere. So I think there's real benefits for the crossover there.
Just going to say, if you've got any tips for Imrul, anything that he could take back?
I'd say just make it about enjoyment and just let the kids play, let them try new things, let them try new positions, and they'll love it.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome back to the final part of Futsal Discovered. As I mentioned earlier, county FAs are really trying to get on board to promote futsal in this country, and particularly the female participation within the game. London FA being one of those counties, they recently hosted a female futsal festival as part of the This Girl Can campaign. Neil Jolliffe, who is the Just Play officer at London FA. Seth, let's come over to you. Talk to us about your involvement in futsal. You were playing out in Brazil. Tell us a little bit about that.
I was playing football in Brazil, and over there everyone's played futsal before they play football. The vast majority of kids start off playing futsal and then eventually go into football. So I was playing the 11-side version. It was heavily influenced by futsal. So you know, lots of players controlling the ball with the soul, being very comfortable in tight areas. So that's where I really first, came to terms with it.
What made you go out to Brazil then? Were you playing in England?
Yeah, right place, right time really. My team in England went on tour to Brazil, and I kind of got spotted out there.
Oh.
And offered the opportunity to come back and play for a season. So initially I went over to the under-18 team in Brazil. And did well enough to get into the professional team there as well, which was brilliant, a great experience.
So getting paid to play?
Yeah.
Accommodation, the full works.
Everything, the accommodation
on
was,
the
beach. I couldn't have actually been further from the beach. I was bang in the middle of South America. So,
what part of Brazil was it?
So it's a state called Mato Grosso, which is west
of
Brazil.
Rio.
A long way west of Rio. We went to Sao Paulo once for a game, which was a 40-hour bus journey.
Wow.
So,
40 hours?
Brazil's a big place, mate.
Blimey.
It's a very big place.
Wow.
So this is the book, The Boy.
So yeah, the Boy in Brazil, just here, is what I wrote about my season playing in Brazil. It's mainly about the people that I meet, my experience, because I mean, we all lived in a house together. There's 30 of us in a 3-bedroom house on the edge of a favela, which was
30 of you in a 3-bedroom house.
Which was
wow.
very far
What about
removed
the toilet?
You don't know about the toilet, but they had no doors. That's all I'm saying. And within that house, we had people who came from real poverty in the favelas. We had some very rich people. So just like Brazil, you got the real differences between rich and poor.
This is real diversity.
Real diversity. And I mean, the club itself, it turns out there's a lot of corruption going on in Brazil, which I do touch on, and which ultimately led to the demise of the club, and even a death of someone involved in the club.
Really?
So it's a really crazy season.
That's a serious book.
Yeah.
Everybody must get that.
Wow. So just, Seth, hold up the book, just so that people can see it. So
just here.
Kind of call out the name.
So it's called
The
Boy in Brazil, available from all good bookshops, Amazon, Foyles, Waterstones. So yeah, lots of places.
So that brings us up to today.
So writing this book enabled me to go on and do this book, which is why I'm here today, about, it's called Developing the Modern Footballer Through Futsal. I've completed this book with my coach, Skubala, who also coaches England. We saw him on the clip earlier. And essentially, this is all Scoobs' philosophy, his ideas on futsal. I was very aware throughout that he was the expert. So, you won't get someone who's not a coach to coach a futsal session. So we combined. We got a writer to do the book and a coach to give the content. So between us, we've created this. And it's really just about how, it's about how you can use futsal. So if you're going to coach futsal players, it's about the sessions you can do to help them. And it's
so give us a bit of a detailed insight then. So when you talk, Scoobs talks about his philosophy. In a nutshell, what would that be? What would that look like?
Well, philosophy for us is about enjoyment, really. About enjoyment, getting kids to play it, and increasing the decisions they have to make, which can then be transferred onto the 11-a-side pitch.
So they're learning and in having a good time.
That's it.
Sounds like a great idea.
I'm drawing from my experience as well. Obviously in Brazil, they played futsal a lot. When I was younger, I played in the Peterborough United Academy, and we had futsal sessions weekly. So I've had a lot of experience of futsal being used to develop football. Yeah. The guy in charge of the Peterborough United Academy, Dan Ashworth, is now head of elite development at the FA.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it's definitely something we're going to be seeing more of as Dan really, progresses within his role.
Interesting, you've got footballer there, and there's a debate that I had with somebody else, which is why is the word footballer been used, a developing the modern footballer through futsal, instead of developing a futsal player? Because there's been debate on the purists versus those who see futsal as a development tool to enable footballers to progress. What's your view on that? And Imrul, it'll be great to catch yours also.
Well, being a football coach.
Just from what you've just said there, and from what you've said in the previous section as well, I'm assuming it is a development tool.
Ooh.
From what you said,
I'm going
on what you said.
You might not make it out the building saying that.
So, from my experiences of playing, I felt that futsal really benefited me. I felt that after I'd played futsal, the saying is I could play 360, so I'd only ever played left back before, and all of a sudden my coach was putting me in holding midfield, attacking midfield, everywhere, because he said, you've got this ability, this real appreciation of space.
I've got a good team, but I'm not that bothered about the results. I want my kids.
Well, that's development. That's development. I'm really. But the coaches who want to win, the kid who plays left back might never move out of that position because he just wants to win. He doesn't care about your development. We need to win. So it's a different.
For the exact reason as to why you do it, because then I've discovered that some kids, we always assumed that they were strikers. I've been doing it this year more than any. I've actually found out that, hang on, he's not a striker. He's actually a better defender than he is a striker.
Well, that's in his development, especially in those early days. It's just like Seth saying, you've always played a fullback. Yeah. And when you kind of develop more, basically through the futsal, basically, you could play anywhere. So.
I think that's the real thing in Brazil as well, is that the players are so fluid in their positions and they play everywhere. And really, if Brazil's been using futsal for decades as a football development tool.
Well, I find, you find this as well, that in futsal, players receive the ball on the back foot all the time. They can receive the ball under pressure and not be, it's not a problem. That's right.
Yeah, definitely.
A normal footballer, what happens if they, what happens? Rose said. So that's the difference, that's what futsal gives you, receiving the ball under pressure and dealing with it. And that's why the Brazilians play so well and so fluid, because everybody can receive the ball.
Well, why can't we? Why can't you do that?
Well, you can, but first you have to develop the player. The individuals have to develop.
Why does it have to be futsal? Why can't we?
No. What I'm saying to you,
it doesn't necessarily have to be.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But
I'm only playing devil's advocate because futsal all of a sudden is the buzzword. Everywhere is futsal. Well, I'm just being devil's advocate.
Well, this is the thing, basically. With futsal, it naturally develops that without even trying to develop the player. It just naturally develops that because.
But why can't playing normal football naturally develop that?
We do make it very clear in this book that futsal is not the answer, but it will help. So we're saying you can still create great football players without futsal. But if you do these sessions, we think it could benefit some of your players.
Okay. Can you give us an example? Are you allowed to share one example of a session that could help develop? So like with what, kind of what Imrul was saying, because that's a great point, and many will say that also, those who are football coaches, and, that why can we not then develop technique through football? Why does it have to be through futsal? So how... Could you share a session with us?
Certainly. So we've got one session on power playing in futsal, which is where essentially your goalkeeper leaves the goal and becomes a fifth outfield player. So then you're attacking outnumbered, so you've got 5 attackers against 4 defenders, essentially. So you've left your goal at risk. So if you lose the ball, there's a good chance the opposition will score. So within that, you're teaching a goalkeeper to be comfortable on the ball, to distribute the ball with his feet, and because in the modern game, goalkeepers need to be as comfortable with the ball with their feet as in their hands. So you're teaching that. You're teaching your team about when to risk possession and when to just retain it, and play safe. Because then you've got obviously the risk of if they concede possession, then the other team can go and score. But if they risk it, they've got a good chance of scoring themselves. So it's all about that risk versus reward, and being comfortable under pressure. So I think that's a session itself which could really benefit all players.
I hear you, but like I said, maybe I'm old school. I do. This all sounds like what we do in our sessions anyway. The goalkeeper will come out and play, and it'll become an extra player coming out, and then that element of risk comes into play.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me more like I don't know.
No, what I'm saying to you. We're not taking nothing away from football. All we're saying, I think personally, and she knows this, as a development tool, I think it's the best thing because it gets the players, balanced, understanding how the game moves quick and slow. And because I've seen kids from the age of 7, or even younger, go from there, never played in an academy, and go sign straight for an academy. Now, I don't know where you're going to see that.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's more. So for me, what I've found is it's the weight of the ball that really enables. So the fact that it's weighted, it doesn't go in the air as much.
Yeah.
So it's you play on the ground. So you haven't got that. Oh, let's just hoof it or ping it from one end.
But doesn't it hurt? So a kid having to hoof it from one side probably hurts. So it encourages them to, you know what, you kick it hard once. I'm not going to do it again. It'll encourage you to retain the ball.
No, I think it's more to do with a knee-jerk reaction with that. And, I've watched a lot of matches, especially with the younger age groups, and I can see this. It's maybe down to coaching as well, but the first thing the kid does is bang, gets rid of it because the pressure, that valve. And a top player coming from futsal, he doesn't care about that. He'll just take the ball.
He'll run with it.
He won't just run with it. He'll play at his own speed, and everything slows down for him on grass because the futsal's so fast.
Yeah.
As soon as he goes outside on grass, it's like slow. He just drifts past players like they're not even there.
I think because it's easier to score a goal almost in futsal, or people perceive it as being easier, they're more willing to risk the ball.
Yeah.
So there's not such pressure on them to get rid because we need to win. And also because they see futsal as more fun, so...
Yeah. They want to keep it. They want to keep it a bit longer.
I definitely...
They do need the ball for themselves, though.
I definitely do think it develops risk takers and more creative players, because also it's the technique and ball manipulation aspect of it.
That's
so if
massive.
we're really kind of pinning it down as to what is it, because I would also say as a football coach, well, I do working with using those who are outnumbered and not in balance and things like that. But it's for me, in my opinion, I found it's the ball manipulation aspect, the using your soul, using different parts of the feet and encouraging that. And often, if you're on, let's say, the 3G or grass, well, of course, you're wearing moulds or you're wearing studs, and it's a lot more difficult to grip on your soul. You can't just roll it off. I certainly can't do that. Maybe that's me. But whereas if you've got futsal boots on, and you're indoors, the surface is a lot smoother. So, and some of the other techniques and those skills involved in futsal.
Yeah, the futsal players are more at one with a football, basically. They're more at one with it, basically. They manipulate it, like Manisha says, very elegantly with both feet, basically, some of them. So, it just develops from a young age. Once you become, I look at futsal as a sport where it's going to teach you to be comfortable with the ball. Once you're comfortable with the ball, you can enjoy the sport more.